Hey dudes, it's Super Tender Engines, Blue Moon, Cool Moon, whatever you want to call me, I don't really care, unless it's something stupid like the Eiffel Tower. So, as of drawing, it's Valentine's Day, and I thought I might as well draw and talk about my favorite ship to celebrate it, as I don't got a lot happening during this day, so, yeah. Also, just so y'all know, sometimes there will be cuts in the drawing process as I'm mainly moving around to either grab some water or change / sharpen my pencil or something like that. Anyways, I might as well talk about the ship itself and how I got into it and how I perceive them. Then talk about a few updates for this and the main channel. So to start off, I might as well talk about their official appearances. We all know Thomas's first debut was in the second book of the Railway series, and for the TVS it was the very first episode of his own show. So I'm not really going to go much into him. But as for Lady, her first appearance was in Thomas and the Magic Railroad, which is infamous for being Thomas's first and probably second most controversial movie since critics thought it sucked, and to some was the start of the downhill for the TV series. Anyways, when it comes to appearances of these two, the first time they interact I guess would technically be when Thomas reappears in the Magic Road and says, "You found her, and she's beautiful!" And their first bit of dialogue is at the end when all of our heroes are reunited to save the day and get their magic gold dust, which for me anyway, is the closest piece of evidence for the ship. After that, Lady doesn't appear for a good while until the special Calling All Engines where the Steamies and Diesels fight to the death. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's a whole Steamies versus Diesel plot taken to the max, and the way Lady connects to this is when Thomas sees her in a dream that he has where she tells him, "We always finish our jobs when we work together." And this inspires him to get all the Steamies and Diesels united at the yards to make a speech or whatever. Now, me personally, I think this implies Lady is a canon character in-universe for the fact the narrator states she also works in the mountains with Rusty, which, not gonna lie, could either mean this is just some random mountain line that Thomas made up in his head, or this could be connected to all the Croven's Gate Mining Co. merch that has released, which could explain why Lady and Rusty are said to be working together in the mountains. Also, bringing back Lady before Duck is looking funny as hell, not gonna lie. So with that all in mind, I might as well continue into how I fell in love with the ship. So Thomas X Lady is the ship I like, duh, because I'm basic and proud, and I don't know, I just think they're cute together. Growing up, I never really thought about the engines having romantic feelings for each other because I just saw the trains and I was like, trains. But recently, and by recently I mean like 2021 or so, I started to rewatch a lot of Thomas and the Magic Railroad because I had grown to appreciate it. I never hated it, but at the time I was more of a The Adventure Begins kind of guy. Almost like I was a family guy. So anyways, 1 or 2 years ago, I was binge watching a bunch of old Thomas and Friends fan series I used to watch. And I had begun watching Milk Tanker Media's series, and I had watched Silver Avenger, and was starting to get the context of what was happening when I got to Season 2, Episode 15, Trainwreck. And call me Bart Simpson the way I went, oh my god. At the end of it, and Episode 16, as I thought to myself, this is such a telenovela, man. Because I don't know what clicked in my head, if it was the nostalgia for old telenovelas I wasn't supposed to be watching as like a 6-year-old or something, but I thought to myself, what they have is special to me now. And I shipped them from that moment on. Oh, and I also cried for an hour when I found out they broke up. But ignoring that, I shipped them. And that's my lore with them, but now it's time for the interesting stuff. The lore about them. So for this page, I'm mainly drawing my main and humanized versions of them, just doing whatever I feel like doing. But the general idea I have for them is that they don't properly meet each other until the events of Magic Railroad, where after, Lady works on the railway every now and then on Thomas's branch line where the two connect. Mostly by Thomas teaching Lady the ways of being a really useful engine, as her being in the shed for so long, she doesn't have a lot of experience. The two get close and eventually fall for each other. The two side characters I like drawing them with is Edward and Lily. As Edward's my go and Thomas is best bro for life. No questions asked. Keep that hand down, bro. Like, don't even bring up Percy, bro. In this house, we never disrespect Edward, bro. He's my go for real. Hashtag love Edward for life, man. And as for Lily, I like her having a teasing younger sister dynamic with Lady. A Sodor and Shining Time shipper, essentially. Edward is actually the first to find out about their love for each other, and Lily puts the pieces together when she visits her in Muffle Mountain. But of course, when we're talking about Tatamar, we can't forget that iconic villain, Diesel 10. He's their number one hater, dude. And Pinchy's number 2, I guess. And his whole beef with them is always a struggle with me because I'm a bum. I sometimes write my faves or draw them with tragic moments. And the thing for Diesel 10 in my main AU that's hard for me is trying to connect Tatsumar, Calling All Engines, and Day of the Diesels into one timeline. Because I love the conflict between Diesel 10 and Thomas, and the idea of Diesel 10 using Thomas as a means of getting more info about Lady, however that may be. But I'm not sure how to connect all that to Calling All Engines, because I'm not sure if I'd make it to where Diesel 10 just genuinely gives up believing about the magic or something like that. But nobody cares about that. This is about my son and his girl, bro. But anyways, after all the beef with Diesel 10 dies down, Lady connects more with the other engines on Sodor, which eventually leads to Thomas and Lady officially getting together. And after that, Lady is mostly brought to Edward or Thomas's branch line to help out whenever there's extra workload, and Thomas sometimes just visits Lady whenever he finds the time to. For their characterization, I imagine Thomas is more calm with Lady since she's someone he actually likes, but he still tries to keep up appearance, so sometimes he'll show off, but not too much, while also being more open with her. As for Lady, as we don't see much of her, I kind of go off with her characterization. When it comes to Thomas especially, she is very protective and has a very high opinion of him. I characterize her being more curious, whimsical, yet strong in general. She usually goes to Thomas whenever she has a question on how to do something or whenever she feels low. Or if he's doing something stupid and he needs saving, which is very often. I don't really think too much about tropes, but if I had to guess, my version of this ship's trope would be the normal goofy human ex strong beautiful goddess. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the ship. Now on to some important updates. As you can tell, I haven't been posting a lot of longer or original content, and that's mainly because I've been trying to sidetrack everything to prep for the Edison show next month, with a couple of friends for those who know, and a lot of projects have been sidelined because I've been moving my focus onto the Hybrid Edward I mentioned a few videos back, and trying to gain funding for the trip, so expect actual good content eventually, but it probably won't be for a while. I would say don't expect it until sometime during the summer maybe, just depends on what I yabba dabba do for both this channel and the main one. As for Thomas in the 4th Railroad, that's in development, but again, due to the L-scale Hybrid Edward taking up a lot of my time, I haven't been able to get back to a lot of people in terms of voice cast, but I promise I will get back to you all. The next video I have planned for the channel is the L-scale Thomas. Yes, the video will come out before the L-scale Hybrid Edwards video, but it will be a while. But that's all the general updates I have for now. Drawing Tom 80 is fun, honestly. I can never really get sick of them. I could draw them all day. But now we've come to the happy end of our story. And it's time for all of us to go home. Just like Thomas. Happy late Valentine's Day, everyone, and I hope to see y'all soon.